Everybody wants to know Plan C.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Plan A, an amnesty for DACA recipients, an amnesty for agricultural workers, for essential workers, and people who are in TPS. It was shot down by the Parliamentarian because she had ruled that putting this new rules or new laws in the budget was not a budget maneuver, but actually an end around to making new immigration laws. So then the Democrats came up with Plan B. We're not going to make new immigration laws. We're just going to amend existing immigration laws. Change the registry date from 1972 to some date, whether it was 2010, 15, or 20. News reports said it was going to be January 1st, 2010, as well as extend Section 245I, which allows people to pay a penalty fee and get their green card here. So the Democrats' argument to the Parliamentarian was, these are not new immigration laws. We're just changing existing laws, a date on existing laws to raise revenue. And therefore, it should be part of the budget. And this Parliamentarian said, no way. It's still going to legalize tens of millions of immigrants. And that is a new law, a substantial new law, and the Parliamentarian ruled against it. So now the issue becomes, do they overrule the Parliamentarian and just put either Plan A or Plan B into the budget and then have the Republicans argue that it should not be in the budget, then put up the vote to the Democrats, to the full Senate, and then obviously the Democrats would win that vote on appeal, meaning that Kamala Harris would be the 51st vote. So if all 50 Democrats say it should be part of the budget, it would get included. Problem is that some Democrats don't want to vote for anything as part of the budget reconciliation unless the Parliamentarian blesses that. For example, Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin does not want to vote for anything to be put in to the budget reconciliation unless the Parliamentarian says so. So now we have Plan C. Plan C is Democrats say, well, we're not going to give green cards to anybody. So we're not changing any laws now as part of Plan C. All we are going to do is put in the law that anybody who was here since January 1st, 2010 can get some sort of parole, deferred action, kind of like being put in the same situation as members of deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA, perhaps. It's a little different, TPS, temporary protected status, but all basically giving work permits to people who've been here by a certain date. And that work permit would also be a dual combo card to allow you to travel home and back. It would give you the benefits of having a green card without having a green card. It would legalize you, give you some sort of status here in America short of having a green card. It would kind of more like status under color of law. So it would legalize you but not give you a green card. And the Democrats say, well, we can do that because parole is an existing law and we're not legalizing or giving green cards to anybody.
Is that what makes the difference of changing the registry date? Because if you change
registry
that,
date would be a green card.
Green cards.
Right, right.
Okay.
So basically they're now changing parole dates, or going to put in a new law that says we'll give anybody parole who's been here since January 1st, 2010 or 2011 or whatever date they pick, but it's either going to be 2010 or 2011. And that would cement into law every person who's part of DACA, so that if a new president comes in, for example, a pumpkin can't now make an executive order saying no more DACA and we're going to deport you all. Because now this is no longer an executive order. This is not a program from an executive order by a president. This is a law made by a Congress that was signed into law by a president of the United States. So therefore, the only way to overrule that law would be for a future Congress and a future president to make a new law scrapping the existing parole law. Okay. So it would at least, number one, for DACA recipients, give them some form of security that in the future they would not be subject to deportation and they would not be subject to a crazy pumpkin in the White House or somebody related to a pumpkin in the White House that would strip them of their DACA rights. Yeah, like Blonde Pumpkin. Who knows who's going to run out of that family, in the future. And also, it would give others as well. Remember, President Obama wanted to do the DAPA program, Deferred Action for Parent Arrivals, and that was struck down by the Supreme Court. But everybody who would have been eligible for the DAPA program would be eligible for this parole program, because whether you were DACA or DAPA, you had to be here as of June 15th, 2007. Now they're going to make it 2010, 2011, probably include more people. But it's not just going to be for children, it'll be for anybody who is physically here. Better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Better than nothing.
That doesn't have to be...
But it's not going to be a green card. But at least if you say, does that make people's lives better? Well, yeah, it makes people's lives better in two ways. One is it gives more security to people in the DACA program, that they're not going to be subject to deportation in the future, or the whim of a crazy person in the White House who's going to strip them of their rights, because we now have a law. And number two, it'll give other people who did not come here as children, but who have been here for long stretches of time, also an opportunity to at least work legally, be legal in the United States indefinitely, travel home and come back. Again, not a green card, doesn't turn into citizenship, but at least it's something that would be permanent for you. And then perhaps in the future Congresses, future presidents, politicians come in and come out, perhaps over time, because people in this program will have been here for such long periods of time that they would be cemented here, and eventually something in the future. Same as people in TPS. If you have TPS is designated by the President of the United States of America. So Haitians and others who have TPS, they can have their TPS stripped by a president at his whim, or her whim if we end up having a female president. Now, if you have been here before 2010, 2011, and this parole program, the Plan C, passes, then at that point, I would advise you to switch if you qualify from TPS to the parole, because that is a certainty to stay here for your life if you choose to. The idea that a future Congress and a future president will make a new law saying this parole doesn't exist anymore, that's very hard to do. Much easier for a president just to strip something out of an executive order. So that's the Plan C. I actually like going back to Plan A and B and just put it in the reconciliation anyway.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. So now we got Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, based on what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and what's coming out of the White House are saying is that they would like to have this reconciled for a final reconciliation by October 31st. That's what they're shooting for now. So we will see what happens on that. That's their latest idea. What do you think, Vanessa?
There's just so many things changing that
just every day, right?
That's how it plays out.
We'll see how it plays out.
Right.
I don't know.
So isn't that kind of like a Plan D?
This is Plan C.
Well, wasn't Plan C to just change the registry date?
No, that was Plan B.
That was Plan B?
Yeah. To me, Plan C was, well, we're going to put it in there anyway. We don't care what the Parliamentarian says.
Right. That's what I meant.
But that was not really a plan. That was more of a procedure. This is now a new plan that they're bringing back to the Parliamentarian. This is what the politicians in Washington are saying now is Plan C.
Okay. Well.
Parole, which is some sort of quasi-legal status, work permit, travel, but not a green card. And again, you have to show you were here by a certain date.